You spotted the clippings and the smell. So, what do we have? A grey-haired intellectual who 3 years ago was well-to-do but has since fallen on hard times. He once had foresight, he now has less. His wife has ceased to love him, and it is doubtful if he has gas laid on in his house.
Oh, my dear Holmes, you're certainly joking.
Well, not in the least. You have the evidence.
Oh, come. Why intellectual? How can you possibly know about the man's financial standing?
Firstly, it is a matter of cubic capacity. A man with so large a brain must have something in it.
Oh, no. That's far from medically exact. There are some people with large heads who are congenital idiots.
True. But this man leads a sedentary life, indicated by the amount of domestic dust. When new, this hat was a very good one. Notice the quality of the ribbed silk band and the silk lining. He had the foresight to take precaution against the wind by having a hat securer fitted. But he has less foresight now, for when it broke, he did not have it repaired. A sedentary man with taste, foresight, and such cranial capacity is unlikely to be an idiot.
You have an answer for everything. But I notice you have avoided telling me about the man's wealth 3 years ago and poverty now.
Now, this once excellent hat is 3 years old. These flat brims curled at the edges only came into fashion then. If our man could afford such a hat 3 years ago, but has not bought another since, or replaced the securer, then he has surely come down in the world.
Yes, clear enough. But please, Holmes, just for my peace of mind, confound me further by telling me why his wife has ceased to love him.
Well, now, this hat has not been brushed for weeks. When a man is allowed to go about with such an accumulation of dust upon his hat, one fears he has lost his wife's affection. And that is what has happened to Mr. Henry Baker.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Henry Baker?
The name of the owner.
Oh, come now, Holmes, really, you go too far. To assume that the initials HB stand for... Well, I mean, they could equally stand for Hathaway Broughton. And anyway, he might be a bachelor.
Nay, that would be to neglect the evidence of the goose.
Goose?
Lost by the same man on the corner of Goode Street. It had a label round its neck marked Mrs. Henry Baker.
You saw all this? Then you are involved in some crime.
No crime, Watson. 2 nights ago, Peterson, the commissioner, saw a man set upon by a couple of roughs. In defending himself, the man broke a shop window. When Peterson rushed up, they all fled.
Why? Why? I mean, surely this Mr. Henry Baker was the injured party.
Ah, but Peterson was in uniform and Baker had broken a window. Seeing an official-looking person running towards him, he panicked and took to his heels, leaving behind his hat and his Christmas dinner.
For example, how do you deduce that the man is intellectual?
It is a question of cubic capacity. A man with so large a head must have something in it.
Well, the decline in his fortunes, then?
These flat brims with the curled edges came in 3 years ago. It is a hat of the very best quality, Watson. Look at the band of ribbed silk and the excellent lining. If this man could afford so expensive a hat 3 years ago and has had no hat since, then he has assuredly gone down in the world.
What about the foresight? The moral retrogression?
Ah, here is the foresight. These securers are never sold upon hats. If this man ordered one, it is a sign of a certain amount of foresight, since he went out of his way to take precaution against the wind. But as you see that he has broken the elastic and has not troubled to replace it, a weakening nature. The further points that he is middle-aged, that his hair is grizzled, that it has been cut recently, and that he anoints it with lime cream can all be gathered by an inspection of the lower part of the lining, Watson, and witness the moisture. Obviously a free perspirer, therefore not in the best of training.
But his wife, you said she had ceased to love him.
This hat has not been brushed for weeks. When I see a man with a week's accumulation of dust upon his hat, and his wife has allowed him to go out in such a state, I fear that he has been unfortunate enough to lose his wife's affections.
But he might be a bachelor.
Nay, but he brought a goose as a peace offering to his wife. Remember the card attached to the bird's leg?
Yes. Well, you have an answer to everything. Just a minute. How do you deduce that there is no gas laid on in his house?
1 tallow candle stain, or even 2 might come by chance, but when I see Watson, no less than 5. He never got candle stains from a gas jet, Watson. Are you satisfied?
Well, it's all very ingenious.